Welcome back to the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Thank you for starting off your 8 o'clock hour with us this morning. We are honored to have Dr. Heather Collins with us. Heather, thank you for being on the morning show this morning.
Thank you for the invitation. It's good to be here.
Let's get started. First of all, congratulations are in order.
You
have just been named the head of school for Rocky Mount Prep. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve. It really is.
Now, you had a job. You've been at Rocky Mount Prep for a little while. You were head of operations.
Yes, director of operations.
So I have your resume. I would just want to briefly talk about some of the duties that director of operations has. Coordinate work schedules, personnel issues, enhance job performance, daily decisions regarding the operation of the facilities, grounds, maintenance, planning and operation of the budget, specifications for repair, renovation, and restoration of facilities and grounds, review pupil transportation and operational rules, oversee daily custodial and sanitation services, child nutrition, employee benefits, safety and security, information technology, and audit activities. What did you not have your hands involved with in your former job?
I think the only thing I did not do was actually cook. But it is a holistic, all-inclusive position to make sure that the running of the school happens every day. And it is a lot of work to make sure that you have a facility that is able to take care of almost 1,000 scholars.
And one could say, what better training to step into the head of school position than to having been in the position that directly reports to that position and has a well-rounded knowledge of the operation of the school.
I would agree with that. I think sometimes we look at schools as just curriculum and instruction, what we do in the classroom, but the start of the day starts with our bus drivers. You know, our bus drivers are our first point of contact, making sure we have routes, that they are timed properly, positioned to pick up scholars, get them to school safely, and then make sure that our scholars have a warm meal so they can get ready to learn for the day. So it's definitely more than just curriculum and instruction. There are so many facets that go along with making sure we have a clean and sanitized building for our students and that they are in a safe environment.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people take for granted, not only in schools, but in buildings and companies across the country, and that there's someone that is responsible for thinking about just those things, that the bathrooms are clean, that the equipment works, and that there's a plan as best you can to take care of any contingency that comes up. And most people don't think about that until something's wrong, until the bathrooms are not clean, or until something falls through the cracks.
Absolutely. It is a 24-hour, 365-day job. It's a thought process. We're thinking about the things that we can do when the scholars are off on break, so that when they come back, they see something new, something may be repaired. We'll put a new piece of equipment in place to make the day go better, easier. So there's so many things to think about for our scholars and for our staff members.
And the visitors that come to school, and through their scholars, the parents as well, too.
Absolutely.
So how has your job changed now that you've become head of school?
I think the title definitely is now hitting me, that I am the head of school for Rocky Mount Prep. And again, it's just a blessing to be able to say that and to serve my scholars, the community, and the parents in this way. I didn't think that I would be here. And for the most part, from going from director of operations to interim head of school to now head of school, I think that the most that has changed is the fact that we now have clear vision for what's ahead. The duties haven't changed. The responsibility, I think, is just a little bit heavier.
The buck stops here.
The buck stops here, but I am grateful that I have such a supportive board. The Board of Trustees for Rocky Mount Prep, I could not ask for better support. They have been with me all of the way, and they give good counsel, sound advice, and they show up for our school, which makes the difference. And so I feel supported, I feel encouraged, and I am excited about what's ahead for Rocky Mount Prep.
You spent the majority of your career in the community college sphere at
Yes.
Johnston and Lenore and Beaufort.
Yes, sir.
So now you've moved into K through 12. Let me ask you first of all, talk a little bit about that transition, but also, what is Rocky Mount Prep's reputation in the area? Because you looked at that when you made the decision to come to Rocky Mount Prep to begin with.
Correct. So with your first question is, coming to Rocky Mount Prep is like coming home, coming back to K-12. I started my career in K-12 providing as an English teacher. I taught history and English, and then I did a lot of after-school programs to make sure that scholars were being successful in their studies and providing them exposure to new opportunities so they could learn and grow. When I transitioned to the community college level, I was still working with scholars that had challenges. My main role was to help students receive their high school equivalency, what we know as the GED. But I did have some of the most challenging populations. I had those that had trouble learning. I had adults with intellectual disabilities. I had English language learners. I had inmates. We were providing services to various prisons in the eastern part of the state in order to give them a better quality of life once they were able to re-enter into society. And so as I returned to K-12, what better way to prepare our scholars for life than to make sure that they have a quality education, they have great exposure to new experiences that takes learning beyond the classroom, and they have a group of teachers that love them and are invested in their learning. Rocky Mount Prep, as we all know, was placed in the community to be a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, and a place where our scholars could receive quality education, and they would excel, they would be empowered, and they would become great testaments of their community. I think that through the pandemic and through many of the challenges that our families have experienced, that light may not shine so brightly right now, but I am hopeful, and I know that with the great staff that I have, that we're going to turn the light back on Rocky Mount Prep, and we are going to become that jewel, that community staple that Mr. Molden envisioned when he planted Rocky Mount Prep in the community.
Dr. Collins, two things. Your second statement about the challenges that Rocky Mount Prep saw in the last 3.5 years, I believe it's fair to say that those challenges were not solely limited to educational institutions. There are lots of companies, lots of families that, looking back over those last 3.5 years, would make the same statement. Things got off track. We were in unprecedented times. Now we're in a position where we can get them back on track, learn from what happened, and move forward.
Absolutely. I think when we think about what took place these last 3 years, we're not in a pandemic right now, but we are dealing with the post-pandemic effects.
Law of unintended consequences from that, which will reverberate for generations.
Years. Absolutely. And we have to look at our scholars and our families of being casualties of this pandemic. So normally what happens when we take care of a casualty? They go into a period of recovery. There may be some therapy, some extra medicines applied, different resources that are lended to those individuals for them to recover and get a better quality of life. And that's what we're doing for our scholars, because those challenges from transportation shortages, food shortages, mental health concerns, loss of job, loss of income, you name it, our families have experienced it.
I want to get to that in a second, but I want to back up for just a second.
Sure.
During your time working in the community colleges and seeing young individuals, young students who came out of a high school environment, whether they graduated or not, you mentioned that you saw issues. You saw people who had, would it be safe to say, a broad range of issues?
Range.
You worked with them to help them get a GED, or if they had a high school diploma, to take the next step through the community college system to be successful there.
Correct.
Now that you've had that experience, does it add a different perspective on now working with K through 12 students who are on the other end of that? They're working their way through elementary and middle and high school to get to graduation and beyond. Does it give you a different perspective on what you might be able to do to help those students avoid the problems and the situations that you saw with your students in community college? Do you understand where I'm going?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say yes to that, because we cannot start when a scholar gets to high school to begin the conversation about soft skills. You know, showing up on time, being your best self, dressing for success, taking care and effort with your work, knowing how to write properly and not in text languages, developing social skills, eye contact,
Yes.
how to hold a conversation, being able to answer questions properly. Those things start in the kindergarten level and they build. And so my experiences have shown me that there are some layering that we need to do for our scholars so that when they get to the high school level and they're ready to decide, do I want career and college and career track? Do I want to do vocational learning? Do I want to go the entrepreneurial route, or do I want to do military services? Our scholars have a true grasp of what that means. So I believe that layering real world experiences go into not just academic learning, not just what we're learning out of the textbook, but there are some real life experiences that they need to have. And again, I'll just plug in there exposure. Our scholars need exposure beyond the Rocky Mount limits to see that there's a world out here. And how you interact in that world is going to determine how quickly you're able to accelerate in life.
Thank you for that. You mentioned some of the things that are available for your scholars, and I want to just ask if you would delve into a couple of them. Mental health services that are available, and the other things that you provide, not in lieu of, but in addition to the educational experience that they receive at Rocky Mount Prep.
Absolutely. I'm excited because Rocky Mount Prep does some great things. And I don't think that our community knows all of the wonderful things that we do, but we're working on changing that right now. We provide a food pantry for our scholars so that no scholar should leave hungry.
And let me just say to our viewers, this is a situation, hunger is a situation that is not confined solely to K through 12.
It's not.
Every university in the area, I would say every university in the country
Yes.
has a food pantry for students who are on campus who cannot afford the meal plan or cannot afford to feed themselves because they're paying for their college education.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No.
but that problem is a very broad one.
It is a very broad one. And for scholars, for students that are K-12 and post-secondary, please, I want to encourage them to go talk to their counselors, go to their TRIO programs, because they do have opportunities for food on college campuses.
Is for back to Rocky Mount Prep, is there the opportunity for the community to contribute to your food pantry?
Absolutely. We have a partnership that provides food for our scholars. However, if a person in the community says they want to donate canned goods, or there's a farmer that has fresh vegetables, they can speak with our social worker, Miss Marsha Winstead, and make that contribution, and we'll make sure that our families receive them. So we have a food pantry. We provide mental health services to our scholars. We are blessed to have 3 mental health therapists in our schools to help our students transition through challenges that they may face. They provide counseling during the school day so that transportation to another facility is not an issue. They are based inside our school. Academically, we are offering Saturday Academy, which is an opportunity for our scholars to receive more tutoring, more instruction, enrichment on a Saturday. From 8:30 to 12:30, they get to do science experience, field trips, and enhance their learning in order for us to be able to close that gap. So Rocky Mount Prep is doing great things. We have after school excellence hour, which is again another free tutoring service where we pick them up. Well, they're already at school, but we pick them up in the morning and we bring them home in the afternoon so that their parents do not have to worry about how they're going to get their scholars home.
Let's talk a little bit more about that program and the Excellence Hour after school. Tell us a little more about that. Is that something that is required of the students that are there, or is that voluntary on their part?
Well, the students that are facing academic challenges, we have targeted specifically to say, listen, Mom, listen, Dad, John is having some challenges here. We would like to provide this tutoring services for this scholar. And so we send home a permission slip. We hope to have the buy-in of the parent, and they send their scholar, and for 3 days out of the week, they're working in small group instruction with our teachers to get them to the level of success that we're looking for.
Okay. And I think that answers the question about how it works, and having the parents say, this is something that I want my child to be able to participate with.
I encourage parental involvement. If we don't have the buy-in of the parents, we're not going to have the buy-in of the scholar. It's that parent's voice that says education is important and this is what we're going to do. Now, I don't know how you were raised, but my grandparents raised me and they said, Heather, school is priority, that you have one job, and that is to go to school. And so I am hoping and I am seeing that within our families where they are understanding that school is a priority. Education is the gateway to a better life and out of any poverty situation that you may face. You have to have it up here. What's up here, no one can take from you.
That's right.
So you have to learn it and you have to be invested in it.
Our time goes so quickly in these interviews. There's so much more to cover, but I want to end with two things.
Sure.
One, if our conversation today has sparked interest in a parent, a prospective scholar out there, how can they learn more about Rocky Mount Prep, and what is the process if someone says, I think this is where I would like my student, my scholar to attend school?
Sure. I want to encourage everyone to go to our website, www.rmprep.org, and there is a opportunity for you to go online and apply for admission into Rocky Mount Prep. We do have a waiting list, and so when our seats open up again in the spring, your name will already be there, and when admission rolls around, it will move you to the top of the list as seats become available. You can feel free to peruse the website, but if you have questions about Rocky Mount Prep and the programs that we offer, feel free to give us a call at 252-443-9923, and I'll be happy to talk with any prospective parent and scholar that would like to be a part of our community.
And it is not out of the question that sitting here basically November 1st, a seat might open up for someone to start in January.
Well,
but with the waiting list, but
we don't open our seats again until August.
okay, so it would be for the following fiscal year. Okay,
year.
very good. Last question.
Sure.
If there was one thing that you would like to leave our viewers with from this conversation, what would it be?
I think I would like our viewers to know that there are some great things happening at Rocky Mount Prep. Despite what you may have heard, despite of the challenges, that we have some phenomenal scholars. We have some phenomenal teachers, and we are a community of support, love, and of assistance. I have a name, they call me Dr. Hugs. And HUGS stands for Help, Understanding, Guidance, Support, and Strategy. And so I make it my business to hug all of my scholars when I see them throughout the day, because all of us can use a little help,
Yes.
a lot of understanding, guidance, support, and strategy as we navigate our lives. And so just know that Rocky Mount Prep is a beacon of light and hope in this community, and we're going to make our community proud and our founder very, very proud of the work that he has established with us.
Dr. Heather Collins,
Yes, sir.
head of school, Rocky Mount Prep. Thank you so very much for being with
Thank
us.
you for
Or
having
Dr.
me.
Hugs. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
Please come back. We'd love to get an update after the first of the year about how Rocky Mount Prep is doing and
Anytime.
your plans going forward in terms of where the school will grow.
Would love to share it.
We will step aside for our next break. When we come back, Wayne and I will be here to continue our conversations about other things. You've been watching the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet, and we'll be right back after these messages.